Hello there and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Michelle Emerson and I love helping teachers with all things technology, organization, and productivity. This is the second to last video in my mini series all about selling on Teachers Pay Teachers. So if you have not yet seen the first few videos, make sure you check out the links in the description box. But in this video, I'm going to be sharing 5 mistakes to avoid as a Teachers Pay Teachers seller.
I may have a little solution to our mistakes problem.
We all know mistakes are part of the learning process. It's unavoidable, especially when you are new at something. But we can spare ourselves just a little bit by learning from the mistakes of others. So get ready to take some notes. Mistake to avoid number 1 is copying another seller's ideas or designs. I think it's fair to say that almost every seller on Teachers Pay Teachers started because they were initially inspired by another seller, which is great, but you don't want that inspiration to transform into imitation.
And let it inspire your journey.
The best-selling resources on Teachers Pay Teachers are the ones that are unique and somehow different from all the other ones. So mimicking someone else's idea or recreating their design isn't going to serve you well. First of all, people can see right through it. I cannot tell you the number of emails and Instagram messages I have gotten of people who see resources on Teachers Pay Teachers that are obviously direct copies of my products, because as soon as they see it, they're like, oh, that's Pocketful Primary. And then they see that it's not mine and they're like, wait, this person copied her. So it really is not worth your time or effort. Obviously, there are ethical issues with copying someone else's work, but there are also legal issues as well. In my last video where I shared 10 things I wish I knew before I started selling on Teachers Pay Teachers, which is linked down below, I discussed copyright and how it protects authors of original work. Every single resource uploaded to Teachers Pay Teachers is protected by the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. If you are copying another seller's resource, a couple different things can happen. Number 1, that resource can get reported to Teachers Pay Teachers. They will remove it from your store and you will get a copyright strike. 3 strikes, your store is permanently closed. But the creator of that original resource could also choose to pursue legal action. Most of the time, does that happen? No, but can it happen? Yes. Speaking from personal experience, I have had to report a lot of resources that were either directly mimicking my design or completely copying the whole scope of a resource I had created. In fact, I even had someone that was close to me that took a resource I had shared with her for free and basically just recreated it, posted it in her store, and even copied all of my product description word for word. So don't be that person.
A lot of art thieves in this neighborhood.
I think a good rule of thumb is if it feels like you're too closely mirroring another seller's resource, you probably are. A tip is to not even look at other sellers' resources when you are creating a product for your store. Rather than getting inspiration from what you see another seller doing, take the inspiration from your experience in the classroom, what your students need, or what people who follow you are asking you for. Mistake to avoid number 2 is lacking brand consistency. If you think about well-known brands that create products, let's use IKEA as an example. When you look at a piece of furniture, a lot of times you can immediately tell whether it's IKEA or not because their furniture all has a similar style. They have brand consistency. Your store and products within your store should all align to a similar brand. This means they all have a similar design and kind of look cohesive and like they all fit together even though they are different products. Here's an example of 2 products from my store. I have my Meet the Teacher letter templates and then I also have my back to school PowerPoint. Those are 2 completely different products, but just from the cover alone, you can tell that they look very similar and someone could look at those and immediately know that they are my products. The ultimate goal is for someone to look at a product in your store and not even have to see the author's name. They will automatically recognize that it is yours just based on the style.
My Shaolin temple style defeats your monkey style.
So for myself, I use a lot of black and white with pops of rainbow colors. I have the black outline with the black bar at the top. I use consistent fonts. I have kind of the icon looking clip art so people can look at my resources and they know that it's Pocketful Primary. You then want to carry this design into your social media accounts and the posts that you're making there, whether they're directly related to your products or not. So for example, you would want to use the same fonts, you would want to use the same colors. If you take a look at my Instagram feed, you can see I have a lot of posts with black and white and then those same icon clip art images. Now, just to reiterate, you do not want to directly copy someone else's design or style. I have a lot of videos where I give tutorials on how to create certain products and resources, and I will have people who follow my tutorial to a T. They do everything exactly the way I'm showing them, and then they want to sell that resource, which is literally my design because I was showing you how to do it. You can't do that. You can use it as, again, inspiration. You can get ideas, you can follow the steps and the process of how to create it, but you need to develop your own style. So here are a few tips for that. Tip number 1 is to choose about 3 fonts and use the same 3 fonts in all of your products. I really like to have like a script font, a chunky font, and then a thin font. Now, some fonts do have font families, so they will have different versions of the same font where it's a little bit thicker, a little bit thinner, but some font creators also put out pairing guides where they will kind of guide you with what fonts look good together. Tip number 2 is to create a color palette for your brand. I'm gonna link a website down in the description box that you can use. It will literally just cycle through different color combinations. Once you find one that you like, jot down the color codes. Keep them in Google Keep or in the Notes app on your phone, and then use those same colors every time you create a resource. And then tip number 3 is to purchase clip art from the same artist. This is going to create that consistent look across your resources. So spend a little bit of time on Teachers Pay Teachers or Etsy, anywhere they sell clip art. Find an artist whose style really speaks to you and then purchase pretty much only from that artist. There may be situations where they don't have something you need and you might have to pull from another artist, or sometimes you can even request specific clip art from an artist and they would be happy to kind of one-off make it for you and then sell it in their store. It just depends, but try to stick to one single artist. I get asked all the time, where do you get clip art from? So I will link a few different options for you down below. Keep in mind, some sellers really gear toward actual clip art, like hand-drawn images. Other sellers like to use real-life photos, stock photos. So I will link a few options for both of those down in the description box. Mistake to avoid number 3 is creating low-quality products. I've already discussed in some of the previous videos how creating a product to sell on Teachers Pay Teachers is very different than just creating a resource to use in your classroom with your students. You have to create direction pages, cover images, thumbnail images, you have to write a product description, and so on. But a resource that you are going to sell needs to be high quality. And I think a lot of people don't necessarily know what that means or how to achieve that. One way to make a product high quality is through design. A lot of buyers want a product that is more attractive than what they could personally make on their own computer. This is especially true for classroom decor items like posters, name tags, labels, you name it. So a couple of ways to achieve a high quality design have to do with the overall layout. You might want to spend a little bit of time looking into graphic design principles and implementing those into your designs, but you also want to use paid fonts, paid clip art that maybe the buyer doesn't want to invest in themselves. Another way to make a product high quality is through the content. This mostly applies to curriculum-based products, ones that are geared towards specific subject areas, but high quality content is going to be aligned to the standards. It's going to be free of errors as much as possible. You will still make mistakes, but make sure that you fix them. They will be rigorous and they will be creative. Another way to make a product high quality is for it to be time-saving for teachers. Honestly, that's kind of where Teachers Pay Teachers originated. It was a way for teachers to save time. They can buy a resource instead of spending all the time and effort recreating it themselves. So by creating a product that's going to take workload off of the plates of other teachers, that can be viewed as high quality. A lot of my products fall in this category. I create a lot of templates. So I'm kind of putting in the effort with the design and I'm taking workload off of the teachers having to recreate the overall layout of the template, all they have to do is input in their own content or their own, information, text boxes, images, whatever, and they're ready to go. Another way to make a product high quality is by making it editable. Buyers love editable products because, as we know, every school, district, state, they all have different needs. They all have different curriculums. They all have different standards that they follow. So by creating a resource that's editable, you're giving that buyer control. You're allowing them to customize it to better fit their needs. Now, creating an editable resource as a seller is a fair amount more work. If you're interested in the process of how to do that, I did show it in my vlog video where I kind of show behind the scenes of me creating a product for my store. But when you create an editable product, you should be pricing it just a little bit higher than a non-editable product because it is more valuable to the customer. And finally, one last way to make a product high quality is through ease of use.
Michael, let me make this very easy for you.
Buyers want products that they can download and immediately start using because there's no confusion. This means your product needs to include a lesson plan, if it's a lesson type of product, an answer key, direction pages, pictures with examples, step-by-step directions on how to assemble it. You might even include a tutorial video that walks them through how to edit it, how to print it, how to do everything that they need to do with that product. I'll be honest, there are a lot of products I have purchased from Teachers Pay Teachers, downloaded, and then never actually used because they weren't easy to implement. So if your product is easy to implement, teachers are more likely to use it, which then means they're more likely to leave a positive review, which results in great marketing for your product. And that brings us to mistake to avoid number 4, not marketing your products or store. Obviously, creating a product for your store is a lot of work, and where a lot of sellers mess up is they post it in their store and they're like, oh, I'm done. But the work doesn't end there. You then have to drive traffic to your store in order to increase purchases. I shared a few different avenues that you can use for marketing in my 10 things I wish I knew before I started selling on Teachers Pay Teachers video. That's a mouthful. So that is linked for you if you want to go back and check that out. For this video, I want to focus on ways that you can repurpose content because we all know our time is limited. It's one of our most valuable resources. So I want to share some ways you can efficiently market your products. Tip number 1 is to use Canva to resize images. Canva is a fantastic creation platform, and one of the aspects I love is that you can create one design, let's say an Instagram post. You can then automatically resize that to be an Instagram story, a Facebook post, a Pinterest pin. So you only create the design once, and then you are able to share it out to all the different social media platforms. Tip number 2 is to share about a product in multiple ways. Here's what I mean by that. Let's say I want to market my library labels. I can obviously post like the cover and thumbnail images on Instagram. I'll be honest, those don't always do the best, but it's an option. I can then post a real life photo of the library labels in my classroom and maybe discuss kind of the system in the caption. I could then post a positive review of the product. I could create a reel or an Instagram series of stories where I explain how I actually label my books, like what products I use, what tape I use, how I do it. I could even take a Q&A that has been posted on that product on Teachers Pay Teachers and turn it into a post. So if one person has asked the question, other people are probably wondering the same thing. I could even do like a before and after of my classroom library and talk about how simple the system is for students to be able to return books. So these are all marketing the exact same product, it's just doing it in different ways. Tip number 3 is to encourage buyers to share. If someone has purchased your product and loves it, you want them to tell other people about it. So personally, on my credits page and my terms of use page, I have a little blurb telling people, hey, if you love this and you share it out on Instagram, please tag me at Pocketful Primary. Then anytime someone shares my product through Instagram stories or on their feed, I make sure that I engage in that post. I will share the Instagram story. I will then link the product so anyone who sees it on my page can click and go directly to that product to purchase. I will also comment on their feed post, and I might even ask them if it's a really good picture, if I can use that picture for marketing purposes. Obviously, I credit them. Most people are more than willing to do it. In fact, it kind of makes them really excited. And that brings me to tip number 4, which is to save all of the images in one place. Personally, I store all of my products through Google Drive. I have a folder for each product, and then within that folder, I have folders for like the images and the previews and all of the different things that go with the product. You can see more of that in the vlog video that I mentioned. But within the images folder, I will have the cover and thumbnail images, any real life photos I've taken of the product, and any photos that have been shared and I've been given permission to use for marketing purposes. Tip number 5 is to repost with a new image or new caption. So I love to scroll back and look at what I was posting this time last year to kind of get ideas. You can repost the same image on your Instagram multiple times. Trust me, with the algorithm, new people will be seeing it and they're not gonna get tired of seeing the same thing over and over again. What I love to do is either repost the same image, but just with a new caption, or I will post a new image, but I will directly copy a caption I have already used before. Now, let me just say, I am not a marketing expert by any means.
So there's no marketing department.
I did take like Marketing 1 and Marketing 2 back in high school, and ironically, I was actually named Business Student of the Year when I graduated. And then I was going into teaching. Really awkward at the time, but now it makes sense. So maybe I have a little bit more of a natural inclination toward this than others, but I have not taken like real marketing courses, and there are tons of courses out there that you can enroll in if you need some help in this area. But I will caution you just a little bit. I think there are a lot of marketing experts that try to promote, you have to do it this way and this is the only thing that works. And from my experience, what has worked best is just being authentic. I post what resonates with me and what feels good and what makes sense to me. It maybe doesn't follow all the fancy marketing rules, but it's been successful for me. So don't feel like you have to follow all the rules. Do what feels right to you. And finally, mistake number 5 to avoid is waiting too long to upgrade to a premium account. In my How to Start Selling on Teachers Pay Teachers in 5 Simple Steps video, I did outline the differences between a basic seller account and a premium seller account, but I will pop the graphic back up on the screen for you to see some of the differences. Basically, it comes down to the amount of commission that you're gonna make and an annual fee. So a basic seller account is free. You don't have to pay in order to open up your store, but you're not gonna make as much on each sale. Whereas a premium seller account does have an annual fee. At this time, it is $59.95, I believe, but you're gonna make more off of each product you sell. Personally, I upgraded to a premium account basically as soon as I started making sales, and I think it would be silly not to.
Yes, Daryl, the sales department makes sales. Good.
First of all, the annual fee is not a ton of money. I understand we're all in different places, but if you're wanting your store to be successful, I think investing in something and putting money into it is going to help motivate you to really put the work in versus just having a free account. That kind of gives you room for excuses, if that makes sense. So if you do the math, ignore the difference in transaction fees because that gets super confusing. It has to do with, did they buy 1 resource or 2 resources? It's a lot. But if you look just at the difference in commission, there is a 25% difference in commission between the basic seller account and the premium seller account. This means as long as you sell around $240 over the course of a calendar year, you will make back the difference that you paid in the annual fee. Now keep in mind, you can always start with the basic seller account. Once you actually start making sales, you can upgrade to a premium account. I will put directions for that on the screen, but it's very simple. So don't feel like you're locked into one plan or the other. That is it. Those are 5 mistakes to avoid as a Teachers Pay Teachers seller. In my next video, I'm gonna do a little Q&A. So I'm gonna kind of tie up loose ends. Any questions that y'all still have, I will hopefully be answering in that video. If this one was helpful for you and you're excited for this entire series, you're ready to hear some cha-chings, make some sales, please give the video a thumbs up. Like I mentioned before, share it out with your teacher friends. If you have someone that you've talked about Teachers Pay Teachers with and you want to go through the journey together, please share this out with them. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button and notification bell so you do not miss any future videos. As always, thank you for watching. I love you so much. Don't forget to put your positive pants on, and I will catch you in the next one.